Greetings, everybody. It's me, your friendly neighborhood Uncle Pete, and this is the latest installment in my horror movies superlative series that I am collaborating with my good buddy Carlin. We already wrapped up the 80s and the 70s, and we started the 90s last week, and we're at 1991 this week. So, as always, if you're familiar with these videos, after you watch this video, please go to Carlin's channel, link in the description. Watch his video with the same title as this one, and then go to the community tab on his page, and we need everybody to vote on who you thought had the better picks. Where those picks most closely resembled your own, or whoever you thought had the better justifications. It's just a fun competition between my friend Carlin and I. And I'm really looking forward to covering the 90s. I don't think it's going to be as strong as all the horror movies released in the 70s and 80s, but we'll see how these picks turned out. Also, I hope you consider hitting that subscribe button and notification bell on both of our channels. Both of us would really appreciate it. I have my Nails in a Coffin series, which goes out every Friday, and I have a lot of fun movies planned, for the rest of the year. And as always, remember, these are our picks, and yours may and probably will be very different. So we'd love to read what your picks are down in the comments down below. We love reading those comments. We thank you guys for all your support. So let's get down to it, and let's pick out some horror movie superlatives for 1991. Okay, on to our most amazing pick. No surprise with this one once you hear what this movie is. Jonathan Demme's The Silence of the Lambs. Such an excellent movie. Psychological horror at its best. It won Oscars for Best Director, Best Screenplay, Best Film, Best Actor, Best Actress. The Big Five, and that's only been done 3 times in the history of the Oscars where a movie won the Big Five, and it was a horror movie because it's such an amazing movie. And if you haven't seen this movie, I don't know what you're doing with your life, but it's about a young FBI cadet who receives the help of an incarcerated and very manipulative cannibal killer to help catch another serial killer who is a madman who likes to skin their victims. This movie is excellent, and I love how it keeps you guessing on what's going to happen next. Will they find the killer? Won't they? Will Hannibal escape? Will he not? What's going to happen to Agent Clarice Starling? All of the characters in this movie are so well written. The pacing is excellent. There's never really a boring moment in this movie. It always keeps you so enthralled into what's going on because there's just so much excellent in this movie. And when I saw, looking at the list of all the horror movies released in 1991, there was really very little competition, with the exception of maybe one other film for, the most amazing horror movie to come out in 1991. It was one of the easiest picks I've ever made for most amazing because it's one of the greatest movies ever made. The Silence of the Lambs is outstanding, and it's a movie that still holds up over 30 years later. So, yeah, definitely my most amazing pick, The Silence of the Lambs. And for my most so bad it's good flick, I'm going with Body Parts. A lesser known movie that I probably could have picked for most underrated as well, but I felt it was a good fit for best so bad it's good. If you haven't heard about this movie, it's about a criminal psychologist who loses his arm in this horrific car accident. His arm is then replaced with a limb that belonged to a serial killer. And then the arm starts to act as if it has a mind of its own. Now, the premise is kind of silly, and the movie does play it very seriously. Now, I picked this movie as so bad it's good because not that many people have seen it or heard of it. And most of the reviews that I've read on it, the movie kind of gets dumped on for being, a bunch of a nonsensical plot. But I think Jeff Fahey does an excellent job as the recipient of this new arm. Some of the other performances are not that great. I feel, though, there is a little bit of overacting and some subtlety could have improved in this movie. A movie like this, I believe, has to be based on at least a little bit of reality, and that can make it more interesting and even more scary if you believe it can actually happen. There's a scene where the body parts are suspended in a tank because the original serial killer wants all of his parts back, and there's just a torso in this tank kind of just twitching around, and it just kind of seems silly, and it takes you out of the serious nature of this movie. And I think another thing that really hurt this movie was that shortly before it was released, Jeffrey Dahmer was on the front page of news all across the nation for all of his exploits. And you can see how that would have a negative impact on this film. But it's definitely worth the watch. It is silly, but it's got some pretty terrifying and fun moments. Some of the special effects are really good. Jeff Fahey does an outstanding performance. So, yeah, Body Parts is my best so bad it's good pick for 1991. For my most WTF flick, Puppet Master 3, Toulon's Revenge. This movie is a prequel to the original Puppet Master, and now the timeline does make no sense when you compare it to the years of the first Puppet Master to when Part 3 takes place. It really doesn't add up. The timeline is a mess. Plus, this movie involves Nazis, and to me, that's always a WTF. The Nazis are trying to use Toulon's formula to make Nazi zombies. But we do get the birth of Leechworman in this movie, and we get the first appearance of Six Shooter in the entire Puppet Master franchise. Now, anytime I think you have small little tiny puppets killing people, I think you can argue there is some WTF moments in there, like how you see these tiny puppets getting kill people so easily. But some of these Puppet Master movies are a ton of fun. I really enjoy them, and they also could be so bad it's good as well. And I was back and forth between this movie and Body Parts for each category, but I settled with Puppet Master 3 as most WTF for having a Nazi involvement, and also we get to see the origin of Leechwoman and Blade, and I really found that interesting and fun, and we get Six Shooter as well. So yeah, watch this movie, and I hope you'll agree that there definitely is some WTF moments in it. And out of all the movies I watched for 1991, I felt Puppet Master 3, Toulon's Revenge, was the best fit for my most WTF selection. For my best score selection, I went with Child's Play 3. I think this movie gets an unfair rap for being a bad Chucky movie, but it's not. I think what probably hurt it is the time jump that they aged up Andy really fast to a teenager right after the events of Child's Play 2, but this movie came out within a little less than a year after Child's Play 2 was released. But this movie definitely has excellent practical effects, and I think Chucky looks the best he has yet. The animatronics are great. The movement looks more fluid, and his facial features are definitely more pronounced in this movie. And the ending with the traveling carnival is what made me pick this movie for best gore. Chucky gets his arm shot off, then he gets his arm cut off, and he gets a big chunk of his face sliced off, and he's still talking with it, and you see all the muscles movement inside his face on this doll, and it just looks excellent. I really enjoy the ending of this movie, and when he falls into this big industrial fan, it looks like a body would look if you threw into a big fan and it got all chopped up. Looking at all the movies for 1991 that I watched, this is what kind of stood out to me for best score and best special effects, is because of everything that went into Chucky. I think he looked probably the best he had in the first 3 movies. It looks like a real doll is moving around, walking and talking, and killing this movie. Child's Play 3 is also an underrated movie, but I picked it for the best gore of 1991. And my selection for most unique goes to Cape Fear. Another excellent movie with outstanding performances, but you don't hear too much about it when people are discussing horror movies, because it's not your common slasher movie or a movie with zombies or demons, etc. It's another psychological horror movie that with amazing performances, outstanding from Robert De Niro, Nick Nolte, Jessica Lange, and it was also directed by Martin Scorsese as well. It's about a convicted rapist who is released from prison after serving a 14-year sentence, and he starts to stalk the family of the lawyer who defended him. This movie was also nominated for 2 Academy Awards, Best Actor Robert De Niro and Best Actress Jessica Lange, but they lost to the 2 main roles for my most amazing pick. Robert De Niro's role as Max Cady is frightening to your core. It's one of those films that is so scary because it can happen in real life. Thinking how I would feel if a psycho was tormenting my family, I'd lose my freaking mind. And there's nothing supernatural about this film, but there are moments that make you want to look away, and this film can leave you looking over your shoulder after watching it. There's not a lot of gore in this film either, but it's so disturbing because Max Cady is tormenting this family, and there's nothing they can really do about it since he's technically not breaking the law. He's being so smart and swarmy about it. And just watching Nick Nolte and his family unravel as he's being tormented by Max, it's terrifying, And I think that's what makes this movie so scary, and it just definitely stands out as one of the most unique films to come out in 1991, because it's one of the most scariest films that, not a common slasher with gore and zombies and demons and whatnot, but it's one of the movies that affected me the most when watching it, and that's why I had to pick it as my most unique horror movie of 1991. And from a most overrated pick, Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare. Now, people may argue that this can't be an overrated movie since it's widely known to suck, but based off all the movies I've seen for 1991, this is the movie I had to choose because I had to pick a movie that I actually had watched, and all the movies I've watched, this is the one that seemed like the best fit for most overrated. And this was the first Freddy movie I actually saw in the theaters. And I was a big fan of the franchise. I loved the first three movies. The fourth one was okay. Fifth one I didn't care too much about, but I was excited to see this movie. It was my first, Freddy movie that I was going to see in the theater. But damn, I was disappointed in this movie. Freddy looked horrible. The cast, their delivery of lines was just so bad. The plot was dumb, that Freddy had a kid, and then you got this one character in the movie who thinks he's Freddy's son, only for it to be a woman like 10 to 15 years older than he is. The kills was boring. The gimmick of 3D was forced, and it was not done well at all. Like I said, Freddy looked like crap. This whole movie was crap. The plot, the script was just garbage. I never want to have to watch this movie again, nor do I have any really reason to, unless I ever cover these on Nails in a Coffin down the line. Yeah, the only thing, I like Yaphet Kotto in this movie, which was nice, but too bad the movie was so bad. And who can forget this part of the movie?
Get out of here now, please! Now.
Hey, you forgot the power glove!
No.
This movie sucks, and it's my most overrated pick for 1991. And wrapping things up, my selection for the most underrated horror film of 1991 goes to Popcorn. I only first watched this movie about a few months ago on actually a watch party with Carlin. He introduced me to it and recommended it. And I really enjoyed it, and I was really missing out on an underrated horror movie from the early 90s. It's about a master of disguise who is a deranged killer, and he begins to kill off college students that are organizing a horror movie marathon. The practical effects in this movie are really good, and they work well with the plot since it revolves around college students, making movies. It is cheesy, and some of the acting is just okay. I like the reveal at the end. I think the killer's face looked really cool at the end. Now, wasn't nothing groundbreaking. You kind of knew who the killer was. It was a little obvious, but overall, this is a fun movie. I definitely recommend it if you just want to watch an underrated horror movie. And I picked it for most underrated because I never really heard about it until earlier this year. I was like, really, Popcorn? I never really heard too many people talk about it. And I'll watch this movie for sure. And if you want to recommend somebody of an underrated horror movie, I think Popcorn is a great fit. And that's why I had to select it for my most underrated horror movie of 1991. Well, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Those are all my selections. Here's a quick summary. Thanks again for watching this video. Now, please go to Carl's channel, link in the description, and watch his video with the same name. And then go to the community tab on his page and vote for who you thought had the better picks. Also, please let both of us know what your selections are in the comments down below. We love reading those, guys. We love you guys watching these videos and the support. Also, if you can do me a favor, hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss out a video. I have my Nails in a Coffin series video out every Friday, and I have a lot of fun movies planned for the rest of the year. Should be a ton of fun. I hope you guys will check those out. And subscribe to Carl's channel as well. He puts out tons of great stuff all the time. Really great channel. I've been subscribed for years now. So thanks again, everybody. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Stay safe. Stay happy. Stay healthy. I am your friendly neighborhood Uncle Pete. And remember, with great kills, there must also come great nails.